Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do our August the 24th just for today in a meditation. Hope you're doing well this morning. Let's go ahead and get into that and see what we have. The title of today's meditation, Seeking God's Will. We learn to be careful of praying for specific things. That is taken from the basic text, page 46. In our act of addiction, we usually did not pray for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry it out. On the contrary, most of our prayers were for God to get us out of the mess we had made for ourselves. We expected miracles on demand. That kind of thinking and praying changes when we begin practicing the 11th step. The only way out of the trouble we have made for ourselves is through surrender to a power greater than ourselves. In recovery, we learn acceptance. We seek knowledge in our prayers and meditation of how we are to greet the circumstances that come our way. We stop fighting, surrendering our own ideals of how things should be. Ask for knowledge and listen for the answers. The answers usually won't come in a flash of white light accompanied by a drum roll. Usually, the answers will come merely with a quiet sense of assurance that our lives are on course, that a power greater than ourselves is guiding us on our paths. We have a choice. We can spend all our time fighting to make things come out our way, or we can surrender to God's will. Peace can be found in accepting the ebb and flow of life. Just for today, I will surrender my expectations, look to my higher power for guidance, and accept life. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. So we're talking about practicing the 11th step. Okay, so let's refresh our memories on the 11th step, because the 10th step, right? We're taking a daily inventory, right? And promptly admitting our wrongs. Okay, so that's our 10th step. So just let's say, for instance, we've gone through our 10th step, we've corrected the errors of the day, we've admitted when we were wrong, and the slate is clean and fresh. We go into the 11th step with that in mind. Through prayer and meditation, we're able to maintain a conscious contact with our higher power. Why are we able to do it at this point? Maintain a conscious contact, right? Through prayer and meditation. They come together. For some people that don't pray, they meditate. And I just beg to differ. I think that there's a manner or a spirit of prayer that doesn't necessarily follow a ritualistic way of praying. So I believe a lot of people are actually praying, but not necessarily calling it prayer, because I believe it is a prayerful spirit that we maintain, right? And as a result of that prayerful spirit, which would be seeking God's will, seeking our higher power's will, as a result of having that desire to know and to understand God's will for us, our higher power's will for us, as a direct result of that, there's the B side of this, which is the meditative part, and it flows quite naturally. When I am praying for something, I'm also seeking or looking for that something to come to pass. When I'm praying for peace, I expect to have peace. When I'm praying for a solution to a problem, I naturally, as a direct result of praying or seeking God's will in this situation, a solution that brings me peace, I naturally am looking for the peaceful solution. I'm wide open. I'm open minded. Not only that, but I'm willing. Not only that, I have the how, right? Because I'm honestly looking for this solution to come. It's a natural ebb and flow. It's not something that I have to struggle to be able to do. Now, listen, let's think about it in the form of a child. Many of you have had children that you've raised. Many of you were children, obviously, yourselves. Many of you can think about a time that a child has approached you and said, "Can I have some cookies, please?" This child is seeking your approval for something that they want. Cookies. You being the adult, you understand whether or not it's too late in the day for them to have cookies. You understand if they have not finished their meal and this might spoil their appetite. As the adult, you have a bigger picture about the situation in regards to whether or not this child who is seeking to have cookies, petitioning you to give them some cookies, whether or not you can give them what they want. You really don't even think about it. It's second nature because you're an adult and you know the situation. You know more about the timetable of the day. You know more about their diet. You know more about just about every single thing that is involving this particular child. You don't have to think about it. Many of you will say, "No, it's almost bedtime. Go brush your teeth." Many of you will say, "Absolutely." Depending on the circumstances will determine whether or not you're able to appease, able to answer and give this child what it is seeking. The prayer of the child is, "Could I have some cookies, please?" The meditative part of that is that child naturally is looking for an answer to its question, to what it is seeking. The child doesn't have to think about it. The child is naturally waiting for the answer. Otherwise, they would have never asked the question. So prayer and meditation go together. It's natural. You're seeking God's will and looking for God to provide the answer. Sometimes it's no, sometimes it's maybe, sometimes it's after a while, sometimes it's let me think about it, right? I need for you to take that example and understand that this is not difficult to do. The 11th step is not difficult to do. However, it takes humility to do it. Okay, somebody understand that, right? For me, it takes humility for you to be able to actually apply the spiritual principle of the 11th step through prayer and meditation, right? You're maintaining a conscious contact with the God of your understanding, asking knowledge for your God's will for you and the power and the strength to be able to carry it out. You have to be humble to be able to do this. You can't be a know-it-all and do this. You have to be humble to seek God's will, and you have to be humble not only just to pray, knowing that someone else has, I would say, more power than you have, more authority than you have, more insight and awareness of all of the conditions surrounding your seeking, your questioning, your petition for, just like the parent will know the situation far better than a child would. Right? The God of your own understanding has an awareness of everything that is surrounding this thing that you are praying about. And it's natural, if you're humble, it is quite natural for you to expect and to look for the answer. And that process of actually looking for the answer is what is meditative. See, people get it confused. They think, okay, meditation, I'm sitting there, I'm still, I'm emptying my mind. As things come to me, I dismiss them. That's a form of it, true. But just like prayer, the spirit of prayer, meditation is also spiritual in nature. It goes together with the seeking. When you're seeking God's will, you're going to be looking for God's will. It's one of the most beautiful places as a recovering addict you could ever find yourself spiritually. And I want that for you. I believe that this meditation, there's so much to it, but I want to make sure I keep it simple enough. And the best way to do it is to use the example of a child and a parent, and to take away that mysticism that we attach to this step. Anybody can get this. Just with that understanding, through prayer and meditation, we maintain a conscious contact with our higher power. You have to be humble to be able to do it, but you can do it if you are humble, because it takes humility to admit that someone else has what you need, and you are going to ask that someone else for what the whole picture is surrounding your petition, surrounding your ask, surrounding what you need, what you want. You're trusting something greater than you has the full perspective. And only the answer that is appropriate for you is going to be given. That takes trust. And that's why I say you have to be humble to do this. But the meditation part of it is a natural piece of the first part of it, prayer. And prayer is not putting your two hands together, bringing them up to the bottom of your chin and making an ask. Right? That's what people think. But most of us are prayerful through the whole course of our day. It's a part of being spiritual minded and being a spiritual being. And that's why the atheist or the agnostic can get this. Because There's not a religious act that is attached to being able to do this. So just because you don't believe there is a God, just because you don't believe in God, there is not a pass on the spiritual state of being prayerful. There's not a pass. You have to be able to be humble enough, and your prayerful spirit is seeking whatever you attribute as a higher power. It wouldn't matter if it was the tree, the grass, or the ocean. It just simply wouldn't matter because it's spiritual in nature. So I hope that helps somebody that's listening, because I know when I first came into the program and I would talk about God, I had to remind myself that this is a spiritual program and not a religious one. I had to remind myself that if I could have a God of my own understanding, so could everyone else. And it really wasn't my business, whatever they chose. So when the newcomer comes in and they have this muddled understanding of God, they don't get a pass on being spiritual, learning how to live a spiritual life, learning how to apply spiritual principles in all of their affairs. Okay. All right. So we've had a good time talking about this particular topic. I could unpack it all day long because I believe that the 11th step is what fuels me. It is what gives me the grace to live life on its own terms. It doesn't matter what happens in the course of the day. It doesn't matter that I have cancer. I, it, the awareness of having cancer has simply made me more mindful of the fact that I need to be a spiritual minded individual and I need to live a spiritual life, that I need to do right by people and I need to do right by myself. It has only really, truly, honestly increased my ability to enjoy life, for which I'm very grateful. I don't appreciate the inconvenience of having cancer. It is seriously interrupting a lot of things. But because I've learned to go with the flow and I've learned to find that grace. Now, what is grace, right? Grace, if you watch someone that's dancing, maybe a ballerina or something, the grace that they have makes it seem so effortless. So the 11th step is what gives me the grace to live life on its own terms. It's what gives me the power to be able to take whatever comes and not get twisted about it. It's what makes people come up to me and say, "How can you be so happy and you have cancer?" Now, it's not a fake happiness. It's a presence of joy within my spirit that can't be affected by circumstance. And when you realize that, you will stop getting high over things that keep coming up. You take the power out of needing to get high when you have an 11th step in your life. And I want that for you. I really want that for you. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you have a beautiful day on purpose.